This program is brought to you by realestate.com.au, Australia's #1 address in property. With more properties for sale than anywhere else, we make it easier.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at this week's auction numbers. Across Australia, there are 2,044 auctions scheduled this week. That's down 7% on the same week last year. In Sydney, there are 619 auctions scheduled. That's up 24%, plus another 181 auctions in regional New South Wales. Melbourne has 674 auctions. That's down 27%, and another 51 auctions in regional Victoria. Brisbane has 161 auctions scheduled, and there'll be another 124 throughout the rest of Queensland. Adelaide has 116 auctions and another 9 in regional South Australia. And Canberra will have 79 auctions. Taking a look at the most viewed properties going to auction this week, and topping the list, we have 21 Garnett Road, Wheelers Hill. That's a suburb that's in Melbourne's eastern suburbs. This 6-bedroom house sits on about 1,100 square metres and has a price guide of up to $2.1 million. Next up is 13 Venice Court, Glen Waverley, which is very close to the previous property we're just showing you. This 4-bedder has a price guide of up to $1.54 million. Then we have 58 Mary Street. That's a townhouse in the inner Melbourne suburb of Creagh. This 2-bedder has a price guide of up to $700,000. Then it's another Melbourne property. This time it's 3 Egan Street in Richmond. This 3-bedroom terrace has a price guide of about $1.4 million. And then wrapping up the list, we have 3 May Court, Glen Waverley, which is a 4-bedroom house with a price guide of up to $1.5 million. So the top 5 this week, they're all in Melbourne. And our most viewed property this week is 98 Rangeview Loop, Serpentine, Western Australia. And as the name suggests, it's close to the Serpentine National Park. Property's about 65 kilometres drive from the Perth CBD, that's south direction. This modern 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home sits on about 1 acre with dual road frontage and dual sealed side accesses. It's got about 270 square metres of internal space, plenty of living areas, a kitchen with a walk-in pantry and a home theatre. The house has reverse cycle air conditioning, which is powered by a 5 kilowatt solar inverter. Outside, there's a giant 88 square metre patio, a swimming pool and a poolside cabana. It's being sold by private treaty, with the agents taking offers from over $895,000. Well, let's bring in Eleanor Creagh, Senior Economist at REA Group. Eleanor, thanks for your time today. About 7% less properties going to auction this week than the same period last year. Any reason for the slight drop?
Yeah, look, I mean, we have seen that it's been, I guess, a little bit of a slow start to the spring selling season so far. But even though we are seeing auction volumes a little bit lower than we saw, say, this time last year, and of course, clearance rates are quite clearly lower than the very strong clearance rates we saw in spring last year, they have stabilised somewhat in recent weeks and have very much steadied above the levels seen over the second quarter of this year when interest rates were first rising. Now that could indicate that we're reaching maybe a floor in sentiment. So for vendors at the moment, we've seen several months of price falls. They're beginning to adjust their expectations, adapting to market conditions and resetting price expectations. Whereas buyers, on the other hand, although are aware that borrowing costs are going to continue to rise as interest rates rise and borrowing capacities are being constrained, maybe moving forward with their purchasing decisions, taking advantage of the options that are out there and available at the moment, and certainly with the RBA raising interest rates by less than expected last week, that looks to have given prospective buyers a little bit of a confidence boost, and I think that's why we're seeing clearance rates steadying a little bit, and I think that's one of the reasons why we'll see sentiment finding a little bit of a floor.
It looks like there's been an increase in the number of properties going to auction in New South Wales this week, but Victoria and South Australia seem to be lagging a bit. Does that show there might be a bit more confidence in the New South Wales market at the moment?
Yeah, potentially. And I think as well, one of the key dynamics that we see in the Sydney market is that options for buyers have especially improved in Sydney. So both new and total listings back up around decade averages in the Sydney market. So certainly, even though we did see that new listings declined month on month in September, with vendors perhaps distracted with the public holidays and the National Day of Mourning and the like, throughout the body of this year, the pace and strength in new listings has been historically strong. And so we've really seen this dynamic where, particularly in the Sydney market, the options have greatly improved for buyers.
And what point in the year do you think the market's going to really pick up? When is it really the busiest time of the year for the property sector?
So we typically see that actually it's late spring where we have that seasonal uptick in activity. We would usually expect to have seen a little bit more of a pickup in activity throughout September than we did see. But there were a few unusual factors this year. So number one, the fact that we had multiple public holidays and the National Day of Mourning, and of course the fact that we have seen the beginning of the fastest tightening cycle since 1994, a big shift in expectations and market conditions relative to the very strong conditions we saw earlier this year and throughout much of last year, with the market very quickly rebalancing as interest rates have quickly risen.
And how much activity are you seeing on the REA website at the moment?
So we're seeing that activity from potential buyers is down around 6% from the levels seen earlier this year. But given that we've had a lot more listings coming to market, that moderation in buyer demand is also being paired with an increase in options and an increase in total listings. So when we look at demand on a per listing basis, that's where we really see the changing dynamic in terms of demand pulling back as interest rates have risen and as borrowing capacities have been constrained.
Well, Eleanor Creagh, Senior Economist at REA Group, thanks for your time today.
Thank you for having me.